The smoke gets in your throat before you even open your eyes. It is always the smoke, cedar resin and dry myrrh, thick enough to taste, rolling in slow gray coils from the bronze brazier at the chamber's far end. You have learned to breathe through it. You have learned to breathe through most things. Outside these walls, somewhere below the great ziggurat, the city is already moving. You can hear the river, the low, ancient pull of the Euphrates, and the first knock of wooden carts on packed earth. Merchants calling. A child crying. The ordinary world beginning its ordinary day. You lie still for 3 more breaths. You have learned to do that too. And then the bell rings, and your body moves before your mind decides to let it. Because your body learned this lesson long before the rest of you did. Your name is not the name your mother gave you. Your name now means something in Sumerian that you spent your first year here trying not to translate. You rise. This is the city of Nanna, the moon god. The city of kings who called themselves divine. The city that, from above, looks like a spider's web of canals and walls, and in the center of that web, rising above everything else, the great step temple that is the home of the god and the house of his earthly servants. You are one of those servants. The word for what you are is Nadichu, or perhaps Harimju, depending on which priest assigned you, which household you were purchased or surrendered from, and whether the scribe who recorded your name on wet clay used the sign for sacred or the sign for set apart. The distinction matters to them. You have stopped caring about the distinction. What you know is this. You were brought here when you were young enough to still be afraid of the dark. You were given to the temple either by a father who could not feed you, or a city official who collected you as part of a tribute, or a household that had fallen into debt with the priests. The records show a transaction. In the records, you are a quantity. Here, inside these walls, you are property of the god. The Temple of Nanna employs dozens of women. Priestesses of the highest rank, the end priestess, the god's bride, live in their own quarters and eat from their own tables and are not touched by ordinary men. Their robes are clean. Their names are inscribed on stone. Merchants know their faces. Then there are women like you. You move between those 2 worlds and belong to neither. You perform sacred rites when the priests require ritual completion. You serve the temple economy when the priests require revenue. You keep the fires burning, the grain stores counted, the weavings finished. You do not ask which role you will play on a given day. You are told. That is the structure. That is the order of things in the 2nd millennium before your civilization has a word for millennium. The city outside these walls would not look at you with contempt. Not exactly. You are, technically, in the service of a god. That carries weight. What it does not carry is protection. Your day begins before the sun clears the top of the ziggurat. First, water. You carry it from the inner cistern in a vessel that weighs, when full, roughly what a 5-year-old child weighs. You have done this since you were 9 or 10 years old. Your shoulders no longer hurt the way they used to. That is not the same as them not hurting. After water, grain. You grind barley on a flat stone beside 6 other women. You do not talk during this. There was once a rule about that, no talking during the morning grain work. And then the rule became a habit, and the habit became silence. And now the silence is simply the sound the morning makes. After grain, the ritual duties. The temple is an economy as much as it is a holy place. Nanna must be fed, twice a day. Enormous meals of bread and meat and beer are laid before a statue. The leftovers, which is most of it, feed the temple staff. The priests eat well. You eat what is left of what is left. Rations are counted. If you are ill, your ration is reduced because you have produced less. There is a logic to this that the overseers seem to find elegant. You do not. You have a sleeping mat, a change of robe, a small clay lamp that you are given oil for once every 3 days. These things are yours in the way that a tool belongs to a craftsman, temporarily, conditionally, revocable. There are days when the temple opens its inner chambers to men of standing, merchants who have paid the right grain levy, officials completing a sacred obligation, men who have been told by a priest that what happens here is an act of devotion, a completion of the holy cycle, an offering to Nanna through his servant. You have been told the same thing. You have found that believing it and surviving it are not the same skill, but they can be practiced simultaneously. What you feel during these hours is something you stopped naming long ago. Naming a thing gives it a shape. A shape takes up space. You do not have space for the things you have chosen not to name. There is a woman named Amati who has been here longer than you. She has a
The
small
pain is
scar
a
on her
part
left
of me
wrist
now.
that she will not
It no
explain.
longer
And
controls
she
me.
tells you, when no one can hear, that the body keeps its own records, that you will find, years from now, that your hands remember things your mind has carefully forgotten. She says this not unkindly. She says it the way a person describes weather. You think about that most mornings. There are small freedoms. There are always small freedoms. That is what makes the larger captivity bearable. You are allowed to walk in the inner courtyard for 1 hour each evening. You are allowed to keep a small carved figure of a woman, a fertility image, behind your sleeping mat, not because the temple encourages private devotion, but because no one has bothered to take it from you yet. You have memorized the weight of it. You hold it some nights the way you imagine you were once held, before memory and before records and before the sign on the clay that made you a quantity. Punishment, when it comes, is formal. The temple keeps records of infractions the way it keeps records of everything, methodically, permanently, in clay that will outlast you by 4,000 years. A woman in the chamber beside yours was marked 3 months ago for speaking to a merchant outside the designated ritual context. She was assigned to the grain mill for 60 days. Her ration was reduced by a third. She was moved from a sleeping mat to a sleeping mat in a different room, farther from the courtyard, with less light. She did not speak to anyone outside a ritual context again. You have not either. This is how authority works here. Not always through violence. Often just through the patient rearranging of small things, light, food, proximity to air, until your body learns what your will might have resisted. You are standing at the well when you see her arrive. She is small. She has her hair in 2 braids the way children wear it before the temple rearranges them. She is carrying nothing, no bundle, no object, no remnant of wherever she came from. She walks between the 2 officials with the precise, terrified stillness of a person who has decided that if she does not move too suddenly, the danger might not notice her. You know that walk. One of the officials, a man you know, a man whose name you know, a man whose habits and schedules and preferences you know more about than you have ever wished to, leads the girl past the cistern and toward the preparation rooms. He does not look at you. You are furniture to him on this particular evening. You are part of the wall. You look at the girl. She looks back at you. You could speak to her. You know what you would say. You know the things that might have helped you in the first weeks, the first months, not to survive the institution, which she will survive or not regardless of what you say, but to survive herself. How to fold yourself away into a smaller space inside your own chest where certain things cannot reach. How to sleep when sleep does not come. How to hold Amati's carved woman in the dark and breathe until the breathing is the only thing that is real. You could tell her. You do not tell her. Because the official is still in the courtyard. Because there is a scribe near the inner gate who records movement and conversation and context. Because 3 months ago, a woman was sent to the grain mill for 60 days. Because your ration is already thin and the room with more light is the room you sleep in now, and you are not willing to lose the light. You look away. You lower your vessel into the well. You hear the door to the preparation rooms close. This is the moment you understand something you had hoped you would not understand. That the walls do not only keep you in, they also keep you from yourself. That whatever you were before you became a quantity on a clay tablet, that person could not have stood at this well and looked away. That person is gone. The temple did not take her violently or quickly. The temple took her in rations, in records, in small rearrangements of light and food and proximity until the cost of being her was higher than you could afford. You carry the water back. The courtyard is empty now. Amati tells you, sometimes, about the city when she was a child. The market near the eastern canal where her mother bought dried fish on Saturdays. A brother who collected small stones. The smell of bread from a neighbor's courtyard. Details so ordinary they sound invented. The way all ordinary happiness sounds invented when you are far enough from it. You do not have many memories like that. You were very young when you came here. What you have instead are the memories you have made inside these walls. And you have learned that memory is not neutral. That memory records what it must, that the clay tablet of your own mind has been inscribed by the same forces that inscribe the tablet the scribe keeps at the gate. You do not know if there is a version of you that exists outside this. You know the temple will outlast you. The mud brick walls will outlast you. The clay tablets with their careful records, the rations, the infractions, the transactions, the quantities will outlast you. Nanna, the moon god, silver and distant, will look down at this courtyard long after you are gone. And there will be other women at this well, and other vessels, and other mornings that begin with smoke and a bell and the body moving before the mind decides. You look up at the moon. It does not look back, but you look. For a moment, you look.